chapter, favorite book. You sold me lies inspired when you look, talking a language that I'll never speak. Baby, that ain't for me, that ain't for me. I dug my grave watching you where you move. You took me high. All right. Good morning. Good morning. I didn't think I'd get here on time. The plane was on time, so I was able to get here for 6:30 Club. Take a look at the disclosure. We'll get to it. What up? What up? Good morning, everybody. It's been a few days. I've been out of town for a little vacation, well needed. Hopefully, everyone's feeling good. Enjoying this crazy rally from the August 5th lows all the way up until yesterday. Very fast, very furious, very relentless, where every level that stood in the way, every obstacle was just freaking busted through. So anyway, here we are ahead of Powell tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Streets debating whether it's going to be a quarter, whether it's going to be a half. If it's a half, what will this do? If it's a quarter, what will that do? What's priced in? Well, I know it's been very, very tricky where it's like, hard to be long up here. It's been painful to be short, and that's what we call a pain trade, my friends. Anyway, I know you guys aren't in the habit because just like me, every single day I like to do the same thing, my routine, my process. So maybe some of you aren't here yet because Red Dog said he wouldn't be around. But let me say hello to some of my dogs around the world. We got Sam Robinson in the house. We got Todd. We got Sahaz. We got Sanjeevs, Uber Trades. We got Tony Wallace. We got Blair. We got Bewell. We got everyone getting their process going. So let's get to it. First, if you remember, when this first move started, I feel like a lot of traders were in a really good position. A lot of us were tactical and a lot of cash. We broke below so many levels. If you look here on the S&P, really this day, if you missed getting out of the market on July 18th as a trader, you had this topping tail into the 8th day. You had this red dog reversal on August 1st. And lo and behold, we were at historic levels at 510. Some guys like, hey, maybe Red Dog, we shouldn't have been down there. That's why it feels like we're so overbought and we came so far, but we were down there for such a brief period of time that, it's an overthrow. But anyway, I know for guys here with me, we were ready to just pounce. I think into this move, I was still at the highs of my year, got really long, played the market really well with everyone from probably about this area, and I think right into this 540 is when a lot of people start to get off sides. Right into 540, most would have thought that area would have rejected price, but instead it punched through it. And the way the computers are, sometimes it's going to punch through it and then it's going to fail. Meanwhile, punch through it, and if you didn't cover on this day, you had a big gap up to the upside that kind of squeezed the hell out of anybody who was thinking that we had to stop here, me included. Anyway, lo and behold, here we are. Yesterday's high is 562.11. Here's your 8-day, your moving averages. We just filled another gap, and it's so hard to believe that 565 is right here, just like that. There's so much to learn from every sequence, and for me too. I've been doing this since 1997. I feel like I did so much better on this sequence and did pretty well into here, and then into this move here. I was pretty flat-footed, lost a little bit of money short to SPYs, and now we're going to figure out what's next. How do we figure out what's next? Multiple plans. Always have multiple plans. If this, then that. If that, then this. That's the way to go as an active trader. The cost average game, to the downside could put you out of business because it goes down further than you thought. And then to the upside could also hurt you and make you give back money, either which way. So anyway, let's move on real quickly to the Qs. The Qs, still crawling up also. It led the market lower. It's been following this trend all the way up. At this point, every dip's been viable. You have another gap right in front of it that it could fill up to 493 before, if it wants to. We shall see. What's up, Bobby 4.0? IWM has been lagging, but remember this gap that we were talking about getting filled? Well, yesterday got filled. This is right here, right? This gap was to 215. It's gone. Goodbye. So now the question is, what's next? We shall see. You got to take it day by day. But the small caps have not really been where the money is. It's been in the Qs. It's been in the SPYs. It's been in the mega cap techs. If you remember, after the corrective phase, I'm like, there are going to be names that you want to go to that will probably outperform and make all-time highs first. Think about which one was Red Dog say? Hey, Meta. Meta right now is looking a pebble throw away, from taking out 540, 542. And look at the size of this channel. It's basically been in the same channel since February, going sideways. And this stock has been following the 8-day up. If anything's going to make a new all-time high, and I know, I'm like, I need two. I'm like, I can't get too big here in Meta. We've just had 9 up days or maybe 10 up days in the overall indices, the fastest and furious trade. So if all of a sudden you start positioning heavy as an active trader into a stock that's about to make a new all-time high, and then all of a sudden tomorrow, Powell doesn't deliver, you don't want to get too hurt. So, I bought some calls. I bought what I buy. I bought some 540 calls, and I'll probably trade the stock today, if there's an opportunity. Meta right now is up $1.30. So, if it could finally get above and stay above 540, 542, then it's at all-time highs. Wow. Apple's been, one of the best. Apple gave you a move, pretty much straight up in a nice line here. I also made a lot of money on the first part of this move. I remember in the hole that day, I'm like, we're going to be put bids in from 202 down to 196. A lot of people made a lot of money there. I kind of got away from it into this resistance area. And now we'll see what happens here. Can it go sideways, before moving higher? A little doji yesterday. It's above the 8-day. It's almost like now it's back to can't get too bearish if, and if that's the case, can't get too bearish if it holds above this 224. But not really a great setup here, but it gave clues that things could penetrate further to potentially take short off the brain. Amazon, filled this gap. This was one of the ones that I focused on. I actually made some good money in Amazon again. Started buying it for a gap fill around here, and I've been long Amazon pretty much the entire time, even as I was on vacation. And I hit a high of 182.38. So this gap is now gone. Goodbye. Hasta la vista. Okay, so now what? I figure I'm going to try and stay in Amazon. It still has some room. Some retail prove that the consumer's not dead, but they're getting a little cost conscious by going to a Walmart or a Target. It tells you a little bit about the economy that people are trying to really focus on saving their money. But anyway, can't get into everything else. But I know Google's lagged. Everything else is kind of moving along. Yeah. Someone's like, what about Nvidia? Nvidia definitely leading indicator. I remember before leaving, I was like, can Nvidia clear 106? That was a good buy. I made a lot of good money on these on the first 2/3 of this move, and then this last third I didn't really play, but I lost a little bit of money shorting the spies, and that's the truth. So anyway, this hit 130. You have a little bit of an inside range. Now there could be another trade here. It's kind of interesting. You're above the 8-day. I remember I was buying here. I bought through 108, and I was a seller into like 118, which was right here. So this was when I was done with the trade. You don't have to be in the entire trade for the entire move to net money and move forward. Anyway, here's 130. Nvidia this morning is what's Nvidia doing? Nvidia is up 48 cents. If Nvidia gets above and stays above 130, probably going to cause another push higher in the overall semis. If it gets above and comes back below, we know that drill. It's a topping tail, but it's been acting very well. Here's 140. That's the prior high. Yes, it's come up a lot, but it's not really giving you any clues that it's cooked. I remember also before leaving too, I'm like, AMD guys. AMD came out with impressive earnings. They just sold it. This was your spot. A lot of guys were making money buying 138, and since then from 138 to 162, nice swing. It's going sideways again. It could continue. So a lot of these things started active sequences off the lows that are intact. So if that's the one you're focusing on, you use your tier system and you pull money out and you stay with it, and you pull money out and stay with it, and try not to be too cute. Yeah, Palantir, Christopher, that was one of the clues that the market probably bottomed. Remember, that had a gap and go on earnings, and it never filled it. Some guys are still in. Remember that play that we talk about? If you have a gap up after earnings, if you didn't play it into earnings, you could play versus that gap. And a lot of people are just sitting in swings. Say, Red Dog, I'm not going to be on my computer. I just put my stop in and let the market make me money. Well, if you did that, Palantir was one of them. Right here was your gap and go after earnings. Gave you a few days of sideways action because the market wasn't sure if it was done going down. And then once it started to take out these levels, kind of told you, hey, it can continue to go higher. And look at this, bull flag. Looks like it can go again. Maybe there's another trade here. Pick and choose your spots for trades. But this gap up that never got filled was some clues that, hey, there are some new leaders out there. Dash also became one. Dash, I got to update the chart here. It is a little sloppy, I have to say. I actually was a little tight. I got stopped out on this day, but I'll revisit it. This was, the volatility where the gap up, and then, this was that big down day on August 5th, but look how fast it came back up, engulfed this entire range. So, this Dash, could work its way back towards all-time highs. So that was a new name. And then, you have some of the other names. Remember when I left Lilly? Look at that, right back to highs, shows it could be done. At some point, Lilly probably takes out that 966. At next, I would say, depending on the market, next earnings move, chances are this is going to do, some kind of big split. But wow, what a move. Gave you a big corrective phase, gave you a gap. This was a post-gap earnings play too. I had options into earnings and made money. I didn't score because of the way they traded it. It's so funny the way things happen. But if you would have just said, hey, I'm going to buy it versus 825, now all of a sudden, let it go sideways, and chances are there's another trade here to take out, 966. This VKTX is an option play that I've been sitting in. Some people think this is a takeover target in the fall. All in all, though, this was a nice option play. It had a pretty big day here. The bios are doing better. So, I did get paid a little bit while I was gone. Next real trade will be if it can get above the 71. It could work its way back towards, the 80 area. So anyway, so again, there's a lot of things going on in a lot of places. All stocks aren't created equal. This SPY trade has been something that I've been trying to trade myself out of. Yes, UPS2 is also a pro earnings gap play. This is your pro earnings gap. You could have been long versus that. Some people they've wrote programs based on that strategy where the day after earnings, they buy the stock, they put a stop in at the post, earnings, the gap pivot, which is right here. And this looks like as sloppy as it's been, looks like it's on its way back to 49. There are a lot of these. Look at this one in Target. Maybe that one you could buy versus here or whatever the low is. Look at the Walmart. Wow, look at that, post earnings move. Gapped above prior resistance, stayed above and gave a push. So let's look at Bitcoin real quick to end because I got to get going. Bitcoin looks like it's got a nice little bull flag. Gold made a new move. Silver's been lagging. Let's get this out of the way. And this Bitcoin channel looks interesting. Looks like if you're thinking there's something that can continue to work higher, as sloppy as Bitcoin's been, you have an inside range here. It held, and chances are I might even buy some IBIT, thinking that it could work its way higher. You think about all the things that are coming out of Washington and the potential candidates. It just seems like all they want to do is print. And if that's the case, the narrative on Bitcoin will get louder, and there's a lot of room here back towards 39 to 41. You could be long IBIT versus 33.53. Let's see what like Amara looks like. See, these names are so hard. These miners are just, they're just such a flash in the pan. They need so much to get going. And just this is such a laggard, has resistance above. I'm sure Riot looks the same. Oh, you're playing dead cat bounce trades, with these miners. Let's see what Mr. looks like. Mr. has like a tight inside range. I would say Mr. and Coin are probably a lot more quality than like a Mara and a Riot and those guys. And again, why play those when you could probably just, trade Bitcoin itself if you don't have a Coinbase account or whatnot, where you have a nice inside range here. Anyway, yes, the 28th is Coin into the close. So interesting buyers of 5,250 call spreads. Okay, let's see what Coin looks like. I haven't played Coin in a while. It too has been pretty broken. I remember when Bitcoin went back up to 70,000, this lagged a lot, so it gave you a clue to get the frick out of the way. But anyway, interesting. Again, these are technically still have a lot to prove. And Bitcoin also probably has, it's just in the range. If you're accumulating Bitcoin for the future, you do every single month in an asset allocation like gold, chances are you're going to get that breakout. It's just a matter of, could be 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, or could it be in a week? You don't know. But anyway, I did review some tech. Bottom line is, I think all you need to look right here with, Amazon came back halfway. Some retail's acting better. this gap has been filled. Maybe it goes sideways and goes up. Meta, it'll be interesting to see if any of these Mag 7 names can make a new all-time high cleanly. So that's looking good. Last time I also told you Netflix was leading the way. I haven't updated that chart. Look at that. Netflix actually made a new all-time high. Wow, look at that. So a lot of names are showing outperformance and on the move. Some are doing it with swings. This took out this 640 area and then just been floating higher. I haven't actually looked at Microsoft in a while because I was away. Microsoft has lagged. It took back, what is it, over a third, and this is your moving averages. If this can get through here, tech could probably continue. Tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow Powell's going to come out, and how many times are we going to go up on the same news that they're going to start a rate cutting cycle? S&P's 1% off all-time highs. I think we're up 18% for the year. Holy cow! We're begging for a basis point according to Fed futures for this year. You have these policies that are scaring the hell out of people, and then the market doesn't go down. So sometimes you have to disconnect yourself from the actual news flow. That's why I sit here with the TV off, because the news flow gets you really, really bearish, and the price action gets you really, really bullish. So you get this cognitive dissonance. So just really pay attention to the charts. Try and work your way out. I know, like for me, with the SPY trade, I've lost some money trying to be cute and find a retracement that hasn't happened, and it feels like I'm sunk costs there. Right? I don't want to all of a sudden be done with the trade and then boom, tomorrow Powell does a quarter and he's not dovish enough, and when we pull in and all of a sudden I lost money in that trade. But again, sometimes it's also better just to clear the deck, start again, hit some singles, then all of a sudden you get a double and you start getting yourself back in a rhythm. And once you're in a rhythm, you can make money every day and it could add up. But if you're out of rhythm and you're pissed and you're like, oh my God, I got to catch this stupid trade or whatever the hell it is. How could this happen? It could wear on you. So here's Tesla. Tesla, I watch Tesla from abroad. By the way, there's a lot of Teslas in California. It's not acting the best, but it's participating. It's not leading the tape, which hasn't led the tape in a while, but I guess you could say as long as it holds this spot, maybe there's a chance it wants to work its way back to that post-earnings gap, which is right around here. Saw a lot of Cybertrucks on the road too. I think they're ugly as hell, but everyone looks at them, so it's serving a purpose. But remember this area where we played it and it came all the way back and then it took it out, and Tesla's not, again, if you look at the chart of Tesla, it's not leading the tape. But there are things to do. There's things to do in a lot of things. If it's one of the things you get to know really well, and you can see when there's a relative strength signal and you could buy through a high and it fills a gap, it goes from red to green or green to red. And at least Tesla seems to trade by the rules, using price action. It just sometimes, again, it's a little predatory the way it trades. And at this point, it's just working higher. No one in Cali wants to pay $6 for gas. I've been punching what, Robin? Anyway. How's the corporate tax increase sound? I don't want to get into it. All I know is, there's been a bunch of years where I had a really good year where I paid 50% all in taxes under the current tax code. So if all of a sudden they want to raise taxes here, raise taxes there, do this and that, I'm like, come on, can I keep 50% of my money? I'm up at 445 every day. And, I do a lot of, but anyway, I don't want to get into it. Because the more you think about all this stuff, the more you're like, I want to short the market. How could this happen? How could we print more? How could we do this? Sometimes it's just a disconnect. So, keep the market, the charts, and the technicals. That's always been my strength. I've always used a level versus a level. Again, for this active sequence, if you got caught short and you gave some money back and you've been kind of rolling it up, you're probably not alone. There's probably not a lot of people admitting to that. All I know is I speak to some of the biggest traders in the world, and a lot of them got caught too. Somewhere around here, I've been trying to figure out a way to trade out of their over hedge if they're not long enough, or their net short, which hasn't given you a way to breathe. So the last thing you could hope for maybe is a double top, and then maybe you pull back in a little bit and retrace and then go higher. But at this point, we'll see what happens, and that's that. All right, guys, I got to jump at 6:50. I have so much to catch up on. I appreciate you. Tomorrow, maybe it's Friday, we'll do a quick little 6:30 club. Also, I got to get in touch with the Alpha team and get things moving. And just remember, there's 4 quarters in a year. So if one of your quarters doesn't work out, don't put yourself in a hole because there's 3 more. My buddy Pete says there's 50 some plus weeks in a year. So if 1 or 2 of your weeks aren't where you're supposed to be, you know what? Get yourself grounded, get yourself back in, balanced, and go. For me, since 1997, that's a lot of trading years. So, what you want to do is you don't beat yourself up. What you want to do is learn, look back, face yourself in the mirror and say, hey, that was my fault. I should have done this different. Okay, so then when you do say that, the next time you do it different versus blaming everyone around you. If you blame everyone around you, the speed of the move, what this person said on TV, what this and that. Oh, SMCI actually looks pretty good too. You're never going to get anywhere. Here, this SMCI is pretty tight. It's been, a hard stock from 1,200 down to 478. This was one trade. And now it does look like it's set up where if it can get above, 640, there is some room to fill the gap. Just remember, SMCI is loose and wide, but here, nice little bull flag. So anyway, that's that. I appreciate you guys. I got to jump and I'll post some charts.